All right, let's dive into this latest crypto market report for March 2026 because, wow, the data is telling a really fascinating and kind of confusing story.
It really is. You look at one thing and it seems okay, but then you look at the actual feeling in the market and it's a totally different picture. It's a classic paradox, and we're going to unpack it.
Exactly. I mean, this is the core of it right here. The market is technically up. So why is everybody so scared? It just doesn't add up on the surface. That's the big question we've got to dig into. Okay, so let's crack this thing open. To really get what's going on with this weird signal, you have to look at the two key pieces of data that are basically at war with each other. Let's start with the hard numbers first. Okay, so here's Exhibit A. The total crypto market, it's up 0.65% in the last 24 hours. Now, look, it's not a huge number, we get that, but it's green. Normally, you'd look at that and think, okay, not bad, a quiet positive day. Yeah, but normal is not the word I'd use for the market right now. Not at all. And this right here, this shows you why. The fear and greed index is at a 15. 15 out of 100. That's not just fear. That is deep, deep in extreme fear territory. This one emotional number is just completely steamrolling that little gain we just saw. So you gotta ask, okay, where is all this fear coming from? And the report, it's actually really specific about this. It's not about the tech, it's not some internal crypto drama, it's all about what's happening out in the world, geopolitical stuff. Specifically, the report points to these rising tensions with Iran, and that's making investors everywhere, not just in crypto, hit the brakes and avoid risk. That totally makes sense. When people get nervous about the world, they run for cover, for what they see as safe. So that leads to the next question, right? In this super cautious climate, what is happening with the big one, the market leader, Bitcoin? And wow, this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? Bitcoin is sitting on over 58% of the entire crypto market. Just to put that in perspective, look at Ethereum, way down there at about 10%. Everything else combined is less than a third. That is just a massive, massive concentration of money in one place. Exactly. And that's not just a statistic, It's telling us about human behavior. This is a textbook flight to quality. Or, well, in the crypto world, it's a flight to the market leader. When investors get spooked, they're not gambling on the small, super volatile stuff. Nope. They're pulling their money back and putting it into Bitcoin, which they see as the most established, the most blue chip asset in the whole space. So, okay, if all this money is flowing into Bitcoin as a safe haven, well, that money has to come from somewhere, right? It means it's flowing out of other things. So let's look at the other side of the story now. What's happening with the thousands of other coins, the altcoins? And yep, the data backs that up 100%. Look at this. On one side, you see Bitcoin is just running ahead of most of the other top coins. And on the other side, the altcoin season index. It's way down at 35. That's a huge signal that we are absolutely not in an altcoin season. That time when the smaller coins pop off. The money just isn't there for them right now. Okay, so let's just recap the story we've built so far. We've got massive fear in the market, money is flocking to Bitcoin, and the altcoins are getting left behind. Simple enough. But here's where this report gets really interesting. There's a twist. Because even with all that doom and gloom, the report found some very specific coins that are having an absolutely stellar week. It's such a huge contrast, you have to see it to believe it. Just look at these weekly numbers. Pippin is up over 22%. Polkadot and Near are right there with it, both up almost 20%. I mean, these are not little blips on the radar. These are major gains, and they're happening at the exact same time the rest of the market is supposedly gripped by extreme fear. Okay, so how do we make sense of all this? How can you have a market that's terrified, a dominant Bitcoin, weak altcoins, and at the same time, these little pockets of just explosive growth? This is where you have to zoom out and put all the pieces together. It tells us something really important about how markets actually work. And really, this is the key insight from the whole report. A market is never just one single story. It's this incredibly complex system where you can have this big, overarching feeling of fear, and at the very same time, you can have these little isolated pockets of amazing performance. That top-line extreme fear number, it just doesn't capture the whole picture, not even close. Which really leaves us with one last question to think about, right? If that general market mood can be so misleading, it kind of forces you to dig deeper. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, when everyone else is scared, the real opportunities are hiding in plain sight, away from the big headlines. The real challenge then is, how do you find them? And that's something every single person in this space has to think about.